This is a Dreamcast disc and is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers.
Dreamcast, up to 6 billion players.
Welcome back to the stage of history.
Why don't we play together?
Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Please stop this disc now.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dreamcast Junkyard podcast, the DreamPod. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us chatter on about a 25-year-old console. If you're here, that's great. Thank you very much for listening. And joining myself, Andrew, today, I have three people, and I'm going to go in reverse order than I would usually go in. So I'm going to come to the person who founded the Dreamcast Junkyard first, who's joining us today to have a chat. It's Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, everybody listening. It's great to be here once again. Thank you for continuing to resurrect my corpse out of the coffin that I have been laying in for the last couple of years. But yeah, it's great to be out in the fresh air.
Is it like a Dreamcast Blue coffin? Is it like the classic Dreamcast PAL box that you've got on the top of it?
No, I mean, it was, but the hinges broke, so I went for a standard mahogany one.
I don't think plastic hinges for a coffin are a very good idea. It sounds very bad.
I was lying in state like was it like Stalin or somebody like that who was in a coffin with a glass front that people could look at. Mm-hmm. It's like that.
Excellent. Also joining us today is Kev. Hi, Kev. How's it going?
Hello. It's been a long while since I've been on, so I think the quickest way to re-establish myself is with a joke.
Okay.
So Are you ready for this, Andrew? And everyone else. What does Fred Durst say when he puts his copy of Spirit Speed in his Dreamcast?
I don't know.
He says, still loading.
I'm cringe laughing. That was such a dad joke. Thank you very much, Kev. You've re-established yourself.
No worries. I've got nothing else to contribute. I'm going to sit here in silence for the next hour now.
Lovely. Okay, cool. And also joining us today is the new Daddy Dreamcast. It's Lewis. How you doing, Lewis?
Hello, Andrew. Yeah. Sorry I'm not Fred Durst. That would be a really cool person to have on this podcast. I wonder if he actually properly played a Dreamcast or if he was just in the adverts. That'd be interesting. I wonder what he played. Yeah.
Wasn't it like the launch party in the US as well? He must have at least played something there.
Yeah.
You'd hope.
You'd think so. There was all them pictures, weren't there, of him like signing Dreamcasts like at the launch. If he'd signed mine, I would have been, get off! Don't ruin it with your signature, idiot.
He might have missed the launch because he would have been waiting at home for everyone else to connect so he can kick their asses.
Well. That's all of us who are on the podcast today. And although you've probably already seen the lovely banner that Lewis will no doubt create for this and the title of the episode, so you already know what this is. I'll tell you anyway. So this is us chatting about the best-selling Dreamcast games across the UK, the USA, and Japan. So we're going to get into that in a minute and go through all of the amazing Dreamcast games that sold incredibly well over the life of the Dreamcast, and we'll talk about why we're talking about this as well. But first, I thought we should just go through the usual kind of question that I would ask. I'm not asking what people have been playing. I'm going to ask a different question, as is per usual. Nothing to do with pot noodles today or anything like that. I'm going to keep it Dreamcast related. So I want to know, where's your Dreamcast right now? Kev, where's yours?
Well, I have more than one, which is probably how everyone's going to answer this. But there are two within arm's length of where I am currently sat recording. Nice.
And have they been turned on recently?
They have been turned on recently, yes. I have two because one of them is the CF Flash one, and then one of them is a pink shell one I got off eBay. So I kind of alternate between the two.
Very nice. So one has the disc drive in it still, but the other one doesn't. Is that right?
They both have the disc drives because the CF Flash one's still got the drive as part of that.
Of course, yeah. Is that the one that you plug into the back into the serial port?
No, the Flash model I've got, which I believe was similar to one Tom had. It's on the side, on the right hand side.
Don't you have one with a GDMU as well?
I do have a GDMU one as well. Yeah, that is in the living room. So that has not been on in a while though. Only because that is the living room is basically my kids' Minecraft auditorium. Right, so it's very hard to do anything in there without being shouted at by an 8-year-old. I keep saying to her, they have this on Dreamcast now. Yeah. We could try that.
It's online too. Yeah.
Tom, what about you? Where's your Dreamcast currently, or one of your Dreamcasts? I'm sure you have a few as well.
Yeah, similar to Kev, I have multiple Dreamcasts in this house. The one that I have got closest to me is on a shelf just under my TV. That is the HDMI or DC HDMI unit that was supplied by Citrus 3000 PSI. Love saying that. The guy who actually came up with the mod. And I use that as my sort of everyday driver because it's got the GDMU inside it, and it's also I use the what's it called, the Dreamcon, the wireless controller with that as well. So it's halfway to actually being a proper Dreamcast Deluxe. That thing that we sort of dreamt up a few years ago with all the all the mod cons inside it. So it's got the GDMU, the HDMI mod, and the wireless controller. But as you no doubt know, I have multiple Dreamcasts in a little shopping bag in a cupboard in the spare room, and I also have a couple of. It's Aldi or Lidl, one of the two.
I feel like it changes every time we talk about it.
It's definitely not a Netto bag, and if you remember Netto, then power to you.
They still have Netto in Denmark. I saw one when I went on holiday. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, Netto.
Oh, wow. That's a blast from the past. But yeah, I've got a couple of boxed ones, Mr. Yukawa and then the white boxed one, and there's just multiple Dreamcasts around. So, yeah, but the one I use most is, again, just under the TV. I can see it from where I'm sat now, so yeah.
There you go, lovely. Lewis, what about you? Where's your Dreamcast or one of your Dreamcasts right now?
Both of my two Dreamcasts. One's a disc Dreamcast, which is like the OG one that I bought way years ago, and then another one is a GDMU one, and it has a blue light mod, which is pretty cool. I always thought it was kind of a weird mod to do, but I bought it like that off eBay for like a pretty good price actually. And yeah, so that one's got the GDMU. It also has the battery mod, which is supposed to stop the date always showing up, but I can't be asked to take the thing apart to replace the battery, so I just keep having to declare that it's 1998, and I can't be bothered setting it anymore.
The best year.
Of course, yeah. So yeah, and then I also have a blue Dreamcast that Tom sent me, and in the middle of trying to install the fan mod, I accidentally broke it. So that one, sorry Tom, that one doesn't actually boot. I think it loads the Dreamcast swirl, like comes up, and then it just goes to the BIOS. It never boots to anything, so I need to fix that. Sorry.
I did wonder, because a couple of months ago I sat bolt upright in the night, covered in like cold sweat, and I wondered what had happened. And that must have been when your Dreamcast broke. It's like the guy who discovered Tutankhamun's tomb.
Yeah.
Like, did something happen like that when the tomb was open? Like his research partner died or something.
Oh yeah, all the lights went out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like that.
But yeah, sadly, both of these two Dreamcasts, they're very yellow, and I'd love to find get maybe a case or a different case for them or something. But yeah, that's a job for some other time. Can't be bothered with doing that right now, but yeah, so that's where they are, just right next to me, with the CRT as well. So I set the CRT up in this new office where I've just moved, and it's nice playing on a CRT again. Feels very old school.
Yeah, you played any Liven games?
No, I haven't actually, regretfully.
Lewis.
What about you, Andrew? Where's yours?
Well, if you'd have asked me a few days ago, it would be sat under a TV, like in a stand, unplugged, unloved. I haven't played it in a while. I've got three, like most. I've got one in the attic, which is signed by Bernie Stolar, R.I.P. I've got two under my TV in the games room. We have a games room. We're childless. We don't need the extra bedroom, so it's where all the games consoles go. So there's two. There's one that's a disk drive one, and there's one that's a GDMU one. And I actually got the GDMU one out a couple of days ago, possibly even yesterday. I'm losing track of the days.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
And it was yesterday, and I had Lewis as my technical support because I am not good with the GDMU stuff. It wasn't working. I was trying to figure out why it wasn't working. And in the end, we figured out that it was probably something that's come loose inside. I actually had to unscrew the Dreamcast, and I'm terrible with tech stuff. Managed to get it sorted. Thankfully, it's all fine. However, as I was putting the lid back on, I accidentally touched a part of the inside of the console, and I hadn't unplugged it. And I kind of electrocuted myself on the Dreamcast. So I've kind of suffered for I've suffered for Dreamcast now. So I feel like I'm a real Dreamcast fan because the Dreamcast has now hurt me. So
it's coursing through your veins. The electric from the Dreamcast is coursing through your veins as we speak.
I can still feel it weirdly. I can feel a small tingle in the finger that touched it, which is very strange.
Yeah, I was waiting in an optician's and I was just getting this like play-by-play from Andrew's like, I've just electrocuted myself. I'm like, what the hell?
It was it was an odd one, but it's all working now. So there we go. Very cool. So at least we've all got our Dreamcasts out. It sounds like they're all plugged in. Mine is now, but everybody's got theirs out. That's good. Enough probing into the state of our love for the Dreamcast. Let's talk about something else, the thing that we came here to talk about, which is, as we've said before, as I mentioned before, the Dreamcast best-selling games. So we're going to have a chat about those, and the reason we're chatting about these is, so last October 2024, EGX, which is kind of a big video game conference here in the UK. Conference? That doesn't sound like the right word.
Expo?
Yeah.
You call it?
Expo. Yeah.
Doesn't it stand for Eurogamer Expo? EGX. Like
I believe
used to, didn't
so.
it?
Yeah. It was part of kind of London Comic Con this year, MGM Comic Con or whatever it's called. They kind of merged them together, but as part of that, they had a stage which was great, and I got asked to go up with the likes of Casper Field and Keith Stewart, who both were editors of DC UK magazine back in the day, and it was hosted by Chris String. And it was just a chat, essentially, about, I think, 25... It was celebrating 25 years of Dreamcast, as it was around about that time. It was that time that it was the anniversary, of course, October 2024. It's 25 years. So, yeah, we were on stage chatting about that, kind of bringing up our memories and all that kind of stuff. And Chris put on the screen a list of the 30 best-selling Dreamcast games in the UK for us to have a chat about. And that then, as soon as that had happened, I think we posted pictures of it and the video in our Dreamcast Junkyard kind of group chat where we chat, and the video itself is now on our YouTube channel, I believe, Lewis, so people can watch it as well.
Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes.
Excellent. So we kind of got chatting from there about these games that were on this list and what had surprised us and what wasn't there, and where things were placed. And we thought, hey, let's have a chat about the best-selling games on Dreamcast. And I think Lewis actually found us other lists of the US best-selling games and the Japan's best-selling games as well. And we thought it'd be interesting to kind of chat through some of those, kind of see what's surprising on there, what's different, and have a look at that. So does that sound good to all of you?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Sadly, couldn't find a list of Europe, like the whole of Europe, but I suppose that would be quite a hard list to find. Mm-hmm. So, we've just got the UK as the representatives of Europe, which is sort of like a bitter irony, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll move away from all that.
The thing is, Lewis, though, that as we kind of discussed on our episode we did a few months ago about the different launches around the world, in Europe, because Sega's approach was so kind of fractured, I wonder even if there is a definitive list which takes into consideration all of the different territories, because each country was kind of its own dominion, being run by its own kind of third party, which was contracted out by Sega if they weren't doing it themselves. Do you know what I mean? So I wonder if that list even exists, to be honest.
Yeah, so we've got the UK list, which is the top 30. We just have the 30, but we're going to go through the top 10 first. We'll go through the top 10 of each of the countries that we have. But let's start with the UK. And I'm going to read through the top 10 of the UK list in reverse order. So from 10 down to 1. and then we'll have a chat about that. So, number 10, the best-selling Dreamcast games in the UK was Resident Evil Code Veronica. Number 9, above that, Tomb Raider 4, The Last Revelation. Then at 8, we've got Metropolis Street Racer. At 7, House of the Dead 2. At 6, Ready to Rumble Boxing. At number 5 was Sega Rally 2. At number 4 was Crazy Taxi. At number 3 is Shenmue. At number 2, Soul Calibur. And then at number 1 was Sonic Adventure, which is probably surprising to no one. But what stands out? I mean, anything that was a surprise on the list to anybody? Kev, have you any surprises there in the top 10?
One thing that was a surprise to me was I fully expected to see verbatim blank CDR in the list. It's nowhere. It's there. It's almost like they weren't officially counting them. No, in terms of, for me, the big one that stands out, even though I had this, is Ready to Rumble. I know that's a really well thought of, and like I said, most people I know owned it, so maybe I shouldn't be surprised by this, but I was surprised by how well that's done, especially for a company like Midway, who you didn't really associate with kind of that level of success.
Yeah. I think one of the things that stands out to me, well, two things actually stand out to me. The first one is that Tomb Raider 4 is in there, Last Revelation, at number 9. Obviously, it's a massive franchise and was, arguably at its peak back then, around the late 90s.
Especially in the UK, I think, as well.
Yeah, of course. Obviously more of a PlayStation sort of centric franchise at the time. But the other thing that stands out to me is just how many launch games are on this list, and how they kind of held their own even through the whole life of the Dreamcast in the UK, that other games that came out subsequently didn't kind of overtake them in terms of sales. I mean, look, you've got Sonic Adventure, you've got Sega Rally 2, Ready to Rumble. I think House of the Dead 2 was a launch game as well, wasn't it? So there's at least four games on there that were launch titles. I mean, I know Soul Calibur came out sort of in the months after launch, and it is also one of the best games on the system, arguably one of the best fighting games ever made. But yeah, that kind of leapt out that so many launch games were in that top 10 and clung on to those places as well.
I think my thoughts on this, just in a more general sense, is this top 10, this is a sort of foreshadowing for the other two lists, is this top 10 feels more in line with, like, what's a Dreamcast top 10 list on a website, Yeah. It feels more general kind of gamer stuff, whereas when we get into the other two lists, it's especially like US, there's stuff that leaps out about, the specific to that region, and same with Japan. And, this feels like maybe a top 10 you'd see on like the our top 200 on the Dreamcast Junkyard. A lot of Sega representation there in particular. And I wonder if a lot of the House of the Dead 2 sold in that bundle with the gun. It makes me.
I would have thought so. Yeah.
I wonder if that'd be factored into those sales as well, presumably.
Yeah.
So I guess, are you all happy with the overall list? Then does it live up to what you'd expect, or is there anything missing from it potentially?
I think it lives up to as any list could do, in that it is a good sort of snapshot, like slice of Dreamcast quality. But if you look at the overall sort of top 30, there are some odd games in there, but there are ones that I would have thought would have been close to the top 10. Things like Power Stone, for example. Sega Bass Fishing, again with the fishing rod. Jet Set Radio, not even in the top 20. Yeah, there's a few omissions there, but there's no real surprises for me other than Tomb Raider 4, really.
Not a surprise, but I'd be interested to know where Choo Choo Rocket would place if you compile the data of people who asked to receive it for free.
Yeah, that's a good point, that. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting for sure. I'm quite surprised there's nothing like Skies of Arcadia in there. You'd think that there's something like that would be somewhere in the list.
Wasn't that a later game? I'm trying to remember now.
It was, that's true. I don't think there's anything particularly that late on in the list, is there? So,
am I not seeing it? But I can't see Toy Commander even in the top 30. And everyone in the UK...
No, Toy Race is there.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense because it was like a charity thing and it was quite cheap, wasn't it? Like,
it was a $5, wasn't it, or something, if I remember.
So that kind of checks. But like, yeah, Toy Commander, every British Dreamcast player is like, Toy Commander's the best game ever. I mean, maybe I'm just, everyone I know who's British and a Dreamcast fan likes Toy Commander. But that's one that surprises me. Like, you know, even my cousin who's like, doesn't even really remember the Dreamcast, remembers Toy Commander. Like, it was everyone loved that game, but maybe they just played the demo where you're Santa or something. I don't know. Yeah.
The one that's surprising to me is number 22 on the list, which is Hidden and Dangerous, which I still have this little theory in my head. I don't think anyone's ever completed that game on the Dreamcast, because if you type Hidden and Dangerous Dreamcast into YouTube, you only see videos of people on the first and second levels. Because even with the keyboard and mouse, it's just so difficult and so niche a game to play.
I mean, surely someone must have completed it if it was number 22.
If you're out there and you've completed it, get in touch, because we could be the making of you.
Have I ever told you about my anecdote about Hidden and Dangerous that I actually got to play test the game?
No, I've not heard this one.
So with Hidden and Dangerous, I did work experience at Rockstar Lincoln. At the time, it was called Tarantula Studios, and they they made Game Boy games mostly. I think they helped work on Grand Theft Auto for the Game Boy, and they did like a Muppets game for the Game Boy. But they also had like QA testing in there. So my work experience was being a QA tester at Rockstar Lincoln, basically. And while I was there, they were testing Grand Theft Auto 2. They had it locked away in a room. I wasn't allowed to see it, and a bunch of other stuff. But they were actually testing Hidden and Dangerous, the PC version, mind you. So I didn't get to play the Dreamcast version. But the hilarious thing is that because I was like a 16-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, and I was there playtesting games for bugs and stuff, they sat me down with Hidden and Dangerous. And very quickly, I think I fell through the map. And I freaked out because I thought I'd done something wrong. And I spent so long trying to figure out how to fix it on my own, not realizing that hadn't clicked in my head that we were looking for bugs and this was a bug. I thought I had done something wrong. So I played Hidden and Dangerous and completely bricked myself, shat myself because I thought I'd done something completely wrong. I completely, it wasn't, I think I spent an hour freaking out until somebody came to put me on something else, and I kind of pointed out and they went, "Oh yeah, that happens." I was like, "No." So yeah, that is my experience with Hidden and Dangerous. That's the only experience I've had of it. Which is,
are you in the credits?
There you go.
I was going to say, if anyone ever could get to the end of the game, are you in the credits?
Yeah,
I'm not. As far as I'm aware, no, I'm not in the credits. It's the only things that I can remember from that are that, and we used to play a lot of Unreal Tournament during breaks. They just played more video games during breaks. And also they had lots of posters on the walls of like 90s TV people like Scully from X-Files and Xena from Xena Warrior Princess. Just everywhere. It was like a 90s child's bedroom in there, which is hilarious. But yeah.
It sounds like a dream work experience.
It does.
It was pretty awesome, yeah.
I worked at a, what was it? One of them no win, no fee like insurance places, so I would have given my right arm to swap places with you.
Why did they not make a Dreamcast game about that, eh?
Ambulance Chaser, Sega Ambulance Chaser.
That sounds like an arcade game, to be fair.
That sounds pretty sick to use there, the kids' parlance.
Pretty sick.
Isn't it called like Emergency Call Ambulance? The Sega,
like that,
it's like Crazy Taxi, but
it is, yeah.
Trailer truck versus car, accident on Cermak Street. At least 10 injured, including a boy with serious injuries. Gasoline has leaked from the tanks and has caught a fire. The area is very dangerous. Repeat. Trailer truck versus car, accident on Cermak.
Ready, go! 10 years old. An automobile accident. Trailer versus car.
I'm surprised Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is 20. I feel like that should be in the top 10, the amount of them you see in second-hand stores. There's always a copy of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That was like the biggest thing in the UK.
The thing is with that game, though, it's almost like it's a precursor to shovelware, isn't it? Like you got on the Wii, there's all them like crap, like party games and stuff. To me, that's what Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is is kind of an analog to. It's a non-game, but it was quite popular at the time on TV, so people bought it, I'm guessing, because it was great to play at, like, you know, Christmas Day, after Christmas dinner, that kind of thing, or if you had people round, let's put Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on, everyone knows what that is, you know.
I think the other thing, especially with myself and anyone else of a similar age to me as a uni student at the time, a great deal of the top 10 that I owned, I bought pre-owned. So Resident Evil, Metropolis Street Racer, House of the Dead, Crazy Taxi, and Sonic Adventure. I didn't buy them new because I just couldn't afford to buy new games at the time. The ones that I did get, Soul Calibur and Shenmue, 2 of them were presents. So it's like, I guess that would be something you would have to consider how much stuff was kind of traded in, because this was the era of multiple places you could trade stuff in.
Of course,
yeah.
I'd be quite keen to know where this data comes from and what the actual, like, is it all retail stores? And, you know, what's the time period? You know, is it from the sort of the day and date that the Dreamcast launched all the way up until it was kind of officially discontinued, or what? You know, I mean, there's a lot of variables here.
It's true.
Which kind of influence, you know, where these games place on the top 30. So, yeah.
It's like if you counted eBay sales of brand new sealed copies of Metropolis Street Racer 2005 through 2012, that would probably be number one, because it felt like there was thousands of them, didn't it?
Even more than that. Choo Choo Rocket for people harvesting the game cases.
Yeah, or like with Street Racer, there was the eBay seller he seemed to have hundreds of copies of it without a box. They were like $1.99 just for the disc. So, like, if we counted them.
Surprised not more sports games. I mean, there are 2 that kind of just nearly missed the top 10, so Virtua Tennis and UEFA Striker. But yeah, I feel like, you know, the UK, you know, loves its sports, but I suppose we didn't really have maybe if there was a FIFA, maybe that would be like a top seller, but we didn't have it, obviously, as the stories tell. So, yeah. Yeah.
Interestingly, first thing, Lewis, is do you actually not know how to pronounce UEFA?
UEFA, yeah. I have no interest in football whatsoever. Unless you write an article about an obscure charity football match that happened in the name of the Dreamcast, then I'm interested. Yeah.
The other thing is, you raise a good point. Even though the Dreamcast's football games are, you know, famously not great, the fact that there's only one in the top 30 in a country which is as football mad as the Dreamcast is, as the UK is, and also the amount of money that Sega poured into, like, teams like Arsenal to sponsor their kits, and there's no Sega Worldwide Soccer, there's no Virtua Striker 2, there's no UEFA Dream Soccer. Like, what does that tell you? It clearly tells you that the advertising millions that they spent trying to get Dreamcast front and centre into the eyes of football fans had zero effect on getting the football games sold. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot. There's a lot you can read into these. Well, I was going to say figures, but this top 30 list.
Just to point out as well, I think Tom mentioned about where the stats came from, and, you know, what other information we could get. The stats came from via GameIndustry.biz, and they're originally from NIQ and GFK. So those are where the stats are from. If anyone wants to go and look them up and maybe see if there's any other information, they certainly can do. But I think this is all we have in terms of the information. There's no sales numbers or anything like this on these figures. It's just a list of the top games in order, basically. Well, let's move on to the top 10 US list. There's quite a lot on this list. It's not just the top 10, but we'll go just because I think it actually lists 250 on the US list.
Yeah,
we're definitely not going to read all 250 out. And there are sales numbers on this, which is interesting, I think. But I'll go from number 10 up to number 1 again. Read these out. So this is the US top 10 Dreamcast games by sales. Number 10 is World Series Baseball 2K1. Number 9 is Shenmue. Number 8 is Ready to Rumble Boxing. Number 7 is Soul Calibur. Number 6 is NBA 2K. Number 5 is NBA 2K1. Number 4 is NFL 2K1. Number 3 is Crazy Taxi. Number 2 is NFL 2K. And number 1 is Sonic Adventure. Now, right off the bat there are a lot of sports games. Tom, you mentioned about football games earlier. I mean, there's a huge amount of sports game on the US list, right?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised, to be honest. Obviously, the Dreamcast had a lot of support when it came to American sports. And obviously, these were all done kind of in-house by Sega as first-party releases because obviously EA didn't support the Dreamcast. But to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in the top 10 being sports games of different sort of denominations. Well, you've got Ready to Rumble, which is technically a sport because it's boxing, but it's not really a sort of real world representation. But yeah, it's quite surprising that they were that popular. One thing I did notice though, and just bear with me for a second, is that, I mean, NHL ice hockey is a big sport in the US. The first entry for NHL 2K comes in at number 20, which is not it's not a bad place to be in terms of sales. But what I did note was that the final game that was released for the Dreamcast in North America was NHL 2K2, and that came in at the place 172. So that shows you how much it must have dropped off between NHL 2K and NHL 2K2. So I mean, for the difference in popularity in sales figures, to sort of diminished that far. So just to talk about the figures just for a second, NHL 2K sold, according to this list, 316,582 copies, and NHL 2K2 sold, when I can find it again, 32,542. So massive difference in sales there between the release of the two games and barely 2 years apart. So that kind of tells you a little bit of the fortunes of the Dreamcast as time went on. People are obviously getting rid of the consoles, just not buying new games.
Was that the last US release?
Last official US release, I believe so, yeah.
Like when I think about the 2K games as a franchise, I think, they started on the Dreamcast, and it just shows like they were, destined for stardom, I suppose. And I'm pretty sure that Sega probably shot themselves in the foot a bit by selling that series when they did. So, So they were obviously popular out of the gate in some respects.
Absolutely, especially in, like I say, in the vacuum, the power vacuum that was left by no EA. But just talking about the list as a whole, the top 10. It's quite similar in some respects to the UK. It shows that other than the sports games, tastes were quite similar, and obviously the big wow factor games, the amazing graphics and this is Dreamcast kind of thing, are represented by these games like Sonic Adventure, Soul Calibur, Ready to Rumble, Shenmue. Do you know what I mean? Crazy Taxi. Those are like the big sort of marquee Dreamcast games, aren't they, that you'd expect to see in the top 10. So other than the sports games, not really surprising that those games are in there.
Is it quite a few? Is there a few launch games there? I'm trying to think which ones were launch games. Sonic Adventure, Soul Calibur, Ready to Rumble.
I think NFL 2K might have been a launch game in the US as well.
Yeah.
NFL, yeah, and possibly NBA 2K, but I could be wrong on that.
On at number 11, Sonic Adventure 2 did way better than in the UK, where it was 21. So it was like, obviously they liked Sonic Adventure 2 a lot more in the US, I guess. But yeah.
More people though as well in the bigger market. So.
It's true, yeah.
I think another thing that's so just to mention again where this list came from. So this is from Dreamcast-talk.com. So the Dreamcast Talk forums. They've kind of put this into a forum post, which is where we found this. I'm not sure where it's originally from, but I believe that there's a lot of this information is also on Wikipedia and stuff like that, because I think the US figures were a bit more prominent. People, they put them out a bit more than they did for things like Europe. But one thing I thought, I mean, again, this is very deep into the list and not the top 10, but one I thought I would mention just for the sake of for Mr. James Harvey is that Spirit of Speed 1937 actually appears on the list at number 225 with 16,255 copies sold.
Do you reckon young James bought them all up in the US?
Yeah, went on holiday to Florida and just bought every copy he could find. Yeah,
he wired the cash over. Yeah. Also, at number 19, there's one that just says budget assortment. I don't know what that is. It's like maybe there's a selection of games that were bundled together, possibly. That's all I can think it might be.
Would that not have been Sega Smash Pack?
Possibly.
Unless Sega Smash Pack appears... Oh, no, Sega Smash Pack Volume 1 appears at number 42.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know what that could be. Budget assortment, that's interesting. Yeah.
Could it be like when we, towards the end of the life here, when they kind of bundled 3 games with a Dreamcast? Could it be something possibly like that, potentially? Although
it's from what I can find on Sega Retro, it is listed as multiple video game manufacturer. So it seems to be different things from different publishers. So I have, which is a long way of saying I also have no idea what it could be.
I can sense another rabbit hole opening up in front of me.
Whatever it was, it sold 325,000, so it was quite popular.
Mum, can we get budget assortment? We've already got budget assortment at home.
Sounds like one of those packs of biscuits that has all the different ones, like the budget assortment.
Some of these Dreamcast games are broken, but they're still fun.
Yeah.
What I do like about this list is the fact that he's actually put the sales figures as well. So it's really interesting going down the list and looking at just how few some of these games sold. I know we've spoken at length in the past on another episode with Mike Phelan about how few copies Spirit of Speed 1937 sold in Japan. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was something like 79 copies or something. But going down to the bottom of the list, you've got right at the dregs of the list, you've got things like ECW Anarchy Rules, which I think that's a typo. I think it's 4,099 copies. That's just dire, isn't it? Especially for a market as big as the US. You've got Stupid Invaders, which I quite like, which is 11,640. Some of these games are quite well regarded as well. You've got stuff like Virtua Athlete 2000, just over 15,000. Yeah, it's madness. How few these games sold. Eurowings 2 Airstrike 18,420. Unbelievable numbers, really.
The lowest on the list is I'm assuming Echo the Dolphin, but with DreamShock 2, and I think that's a controller of some kind. Is that right?
Just looking at Sega Retro, DreamShock appears to be a controller, a third-party controller. So whether that was bundled with Echo at some point, it's a controller with a jump pack built into it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what would be the equivalent for modern consoles? Surely, I suppose gaming is as a whole is a much bigger market than it was even back then, but Sonic Adventure, I mean, I know it's just the US, but 1 million seems like not that many. I know that's a lot of games, but it doesn't seem that many for a market as big as the US.
So I mean, if you look at have the list of the best-selling games of all time, and obviously it's difficult to compare, but if you take a single platform game like Sonic Adventure was, if you compare it with Super Mario Odyssey for the Switch, that sold over 29 million copies.
Yeah.
So the difference there is you can tell that the Dreamcast was not selling in large numbers for the fact that only just broke 1 million in the US. So yeah, interesting.
Just interesting to mine in Lewis's own wheelhouse that Dave Mirra sold so many more copies than Matt Hoffman's, which was obviously a US exclusive.
Yeah, it was a better game, really, wasn't it, Dave Mirra? Yeah.
So thus ending the great Mirra versus Hoffman wars. Sega Retro can note that ended today. So,
but yeah, I mean, the top 10 then, as we've noted, more sports games, but there are still the big hitters there. You've got Sonic Adventure, you've got Crazy Taxi, you have Soul Calibur and Shenmue. And then the other games that potentially were in the top 10 of the UK list are still there. They're just a bit further down because they've been pushed down by the likes of, the NFL and NBA games. And also, weirdly, the budget assortment, which sits at number 19, has pushed things like Jet Grind Radio down. But yeah, it's an interesting list. I think it definitely speaks to America's love of sports games, for sure. And like we mentioned earlier, it is strange that therefore the UK's love of football didn't get kind of the same kind of love. But I guess that's also the kind of standard of football games that we had in comparison to something like the 2K games, which were pretty well regarded, I suppose.
Yeah, they're pretty consistent across the board, weren't they, as games?
It's interesting because, I mean, I keep saying the word interesting because I find this stuff interesting, but I'm guessing not many other people do, but I'll digress. With the 2K sports games, they were obviously of such a high quality because they were kind of overseen by Sega as their flagship, American sports games. Why they didn't do something similar with the soccer sort of arm of that, I'll never know. Because as we know, they basically got Silicon Dreams to basically port the World League Soccer engine over the Dreamcast and just slapped the Sega Worldwide Soccer branding on it. Now, if they'd actually put the same amount of effort into creating a bespoke Dreamcast-centric soccer/football game with the same, effort as they did with the Saturn Sega Worldwide Soccer games, I think we could have been talking about a different top 10 here. Sega Worldwide Soccer 97 and 98 are seen as like the best football games on the Saturn. If we'd had something like those, which is what I thought they would be, when they first were announced, not World League Soccer reskinned, then it could have been so it could have been different.
I think it just shows the disjointedness of Sega, doesn't it? It's like, what's Sega US doing? Oh, they're making loads of sports games. What are we going to do? Get the director of Saint Etienne on the phone. I'll show those Americans. Like, should we make our own game? Nah, I'm too busy. Like, I've been invited to a load of European football matches now, so I don't have time for games.
Well, it's not even that. It's that and get me the director of Saint Etienne, but also get me the director of Silicon Dreams, because we want to take the World League Soccer license. Why that game? Any other game you could have had, rather than that. It's like, why? Anyway,
the European side of things seem to focus more on kind of like traditional video games. I mean, we had things like Toy Commander, right? So they were focusing on getting those kind of games on the console, the likes of Headhunter and stuff, rather than football games. So it wasn't really focusing on sports, despite the fact that we were sponsoring huge football teams that you thought they would have thought about that, but we were getting different games. And in a way, I think that's probably better because we got some incredible games off the back of that from Europe, which is pretty cool.
I think one of the things they got unlucky with in the UK is this is kind of around the time when US sports has kind of disappeared from a lot of people's views, because you think during the Mega Drive era, Madden NHL was really popular in the UK, and you had all the Channel 4 coverage, but this was when it had disappeared onto like Channel 5 and Sky. So had that still been on terrestrial TV and had these games been more widely available in the UK, I think some of them would have sold greater numbers that they could have potentially pushed for the top 30.
So basically what you're saying is you blame...
I'm blaming Channel 5. I'm blaming Channel 5, yeah.
Damn, their erotic thrillers and their Spice Girls adverts. Damn it to hell. So moving on to, we've had like a very traditional list with the UK, which is, it has a top 10 that's full of what you'd kind of associate with the Dreamcast in terms of, the big arcade games and the big hitters like Shenmue and Resident Evil. And then the US has more of a sports focus. So what about Japan? What's Japan got?
Hold on to your seats.
Yeah, hang on. This is the Pico Encyclopedia has a list of the top. I think it's quite a few. I think it's 25. But we're going to go through the top 10 here of games and start at number 10. Work our way up to 1 again. At number 10 on the Japanese list is Sakura Wars 4: Love Maidens. That's how they've titled it there. I think it's got a slightly different title usually, but
I think this is just Google Translate messing it up.
Yeah. This is really bad actually, because the next one is Create a Professional J-League Soccer Club, which I don't think is that the actual name of the game?
I think it's something like Let's Create something like that. Yeah.
Let's make a professional soccer club. That's fine. Most of them I can probably get. The next one's Virtua Fighter 3 TB. So number 8, Virtua Fighter 3 TB. That's translated fine. Number 7 is Soul Calibur. Number 6 is Sakura Wars 3. Number 5 is Shenmue. Number 4 is Sega Rally 2. Number 3 is Sonic Adventure. Number 2 is Seaman. And number 1 is Resident Evil Code Veronica. So a slightly different list. The number 10 on the UK list is the number 1 on this list, which is quite interesting. And things like Seaman and Sakura Wars, which haven't come onto any of the other lists that we've seen so far, they're on here. What are our thoughts on the Japanese list?
Just to comment on the Sakura Wars heavy showing here, Mike was the first person who pointed this out to me, that in Japan that franchise was huge. It was a big franchise. They had stage plays and big there, but I guess Sega never thought it could translate well over here. But yeah, they loved it. So as demonstrated by the fact that 4 and 3 are in this list.
Well, I think the thing that interests me, I'm not that familiar with Sakura Wars, but Sakura Wars 3 has got at least on this info a March 22nd 2001. And sold 304,000 units. And then Sakura Wars 4 was March 21st, 2002, and sold 257,000 units. So it almost seems like everyone who played 3 moved straight on to 4. Mm-hmm. It's a really good attachment rate, isn't it, for a game onto a sequel?
Yeah.
Why does Sakura Wars 2? Why is that so far down compared to 1, 2, and 3? Oh, 1, 3, and 4 even.
1 and 2 were on the Saturn, so that was just like a port to Dreamcast. So I imagine it would be quite high on the Saturn list, which we don't have in front of us, but I bet it'd be quite high.
Yeah, you reckon most people would have already played it on the Saturn then, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Saturn was bigger than the Dreamcast, wasn't it, in Japan? So I bet they played it mostly on there. And I suppose that kind of lends itself to why the 3 and 4 sold well on the Dreamcast, because people had played the first 2 on that, and then they obviously like soccer in Japan more so than the UK, because at number 9.
I know we've spoken about football a lot, but this just shows the lack of football games was an even worse decision than you might think, because they've got 2 territories who seem to love football, and Let's Make a Professional Soccer Club, which is a year later, is then it's number 17 as well. So it's another one that's in that top 20 that's football related. But for them not to push out a football game, or I know me and Tom have mentioned this before, for them not to approach Konami and get them to put something out even Pro Evo wise, I don't know, it's just strange, isn't it? That
it is. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe they did try, and we've just never seen the info. But it doesn't seem like that they saw that gap that needed filling.
What's even stranger is that Konami did put a number of games out on the Dreamcast. You've got things like Deadly Skies. You've got The Grinch. You've got International Track and Field. There's probably more that I can't remember off the top of my head, but the fact that they didn't say, "Oi, come here, lads, get us a Pro Evo game on the Dreamcast and we'll sort you out," kind of thing.
What will happen is we'll find they'll kept be pushing it, and Sega were like, "Look, we've told you we want the Grinch. Cut it out with your high quality football games and get us the green guy."
And also to interestingly, Virtua Fighter 3 TB at number 8 and I don't even think it is in the top 30 in the UK, and it's like number 78 on the US, which just shows like the difference in, I guess, Virtua Fighter obviously stuck around in Japan, whereas I always felt like after the first two, it kind of almost lost its sway in the West somewhat, possibly. I don't know.
Virtua Fighter 3TB as well was one of only 4 launch games for Japan, but you can imagine why those would be quite high. I suppose not only do they love Virtua Fighter over there, but also for quite a while it was one of the only games you could play on the console.
That's true.
So it's probably going to get a high attach rate. A lot of people probably bought Virtua Fighter 3TB as one of the kind of the tentpole titles for launch, essentially. So that's that's going to have a fairly big attach rate.
I think we should talk about the top 2, Resident Evil Code Veronica and Seaman, which has been translated here to Forbidden Pet, which is funny.
It's quite interesting that Code Veronica is so high, but I mean, Japan also loves Resident Evil, right? They're big on those games, so. And I wonder if people were very much like me and they just bought a Dreamcast specifically for Code Veronica.
Yeah, I mean, they had the limited edition Code Veronica Dreamcast as well, didn't they? Which is cool. But
true.
Oh, and they also had the X version as well, exclusive in Japan for the Dreamcast. But Seaman at number 2, I think that's the conversation we actually need to be having, because what was it about Seaman that enamoured the Japanese public? Like, what was it about that game that really stood out to them? That's what I want to know.
Trying to understand the Japanese games buying public's buying habits as somebody who is from the UK is going to be futile, no matter how long you spend analysing the data.
They like virtual pet stuff, don't they? Like Tamagotchis and Pokemon and
I think maybe it was the gimmick that surrounded it. The way you could speak to it. It was a whole new thing. I mean, it's not surprising, just talking about Code Veronica for a second, that's number 1, because I mean, let's not forget the fervour around the fact that this was a new Resident Evil game, fully 3D for the first time, and on the Dreamcast, and it looked amazing in them screenshots. The sort of the pre-release screenshots. I've never been a big Resident Evil fan. I mean, I've played them all, but I was never that much of a fan of them. But even when I saw the screenshots back in the day, I sat up and took notice. I was just like, wow, that looks incredible. So I'm not surprised that this whole new kind of chapter in the canon, if you want to call it that, was so popular. Especially, again, as you say, Lewis, with all the different versions of Code Veronica that were released for the Dreamcast.
Yeah, and temporarily at least, it was exclusive, wasn't it? So I suppose that was, people got it on the Dreamcast to play it as the only place to get it, at least for a while. I don't think it was that for that long, was it?
No, it came to the PS2 quite soon afterwards, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it was fairly soon afterwards. Well, soon after the Dreamcast kind of went to the graveyard, as it were. Just
looking at the rest of the list, though, there are some quite sort of, I'm not going to say interesting again, because I've said it about 5,000 times on this podcast.
Fascinating.
But, fascinating games on this list. So you've got things like Mac and X down at number 50, which I would hazard a guess that it's not even anywhere near the top 100 in the UK. Mm-hmm. You've got D2 in there as well. Obviously didn't get a release over here. But things like Romania and Let's Make a Derby Stallion. That's another kind of RPG style, let's create a team type thing like those other ones we mentioned already. Comic Party, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, that's a visual novel.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. But it does. It tells you a lot, doesn't it, about the different tastes on over in that country.
I feel like, do you know, with the Let's Make a Derby game, like with horse racing in the UK and Ireland, I feel like had they translated that, there probably would have been a market for it. Like, it's like, oh, do you know this game? It's like Football Managers for racehorses. Oh, brilliant! Right, day one, I'll give that a go. It's like, I don't know.
What was the horse racing guy called? The guy who died. They got him to front it. That would have probably done quite well.
No,
the guy used to be
McCurrick.
Yeah, John McCurrick.
Yeah, they could have called it like something like Channel 4 Racing or Sega presents Channel 4 Racing.
Well, I don't know. Even if they'd done like a Cheltenham Gold Cup manager or something, do you know? It's like they could have so easily like they did with Tee-Off when they took all the kind of quirky Japanese stuff off the cover, but it was still all in the game. They could have had a go at something like that, surely. Yeah. Maybe there's just too much localization.
I mean, the thing is, like now you get things like Motorsport Manager and stuff, don't you? Like F1 Team Manager games. So, I mean, I could see that kind of working, to be honest.
And there's the I have no idea what they're called, but there's the equivalent that's the Tour de France Manager, which always is one of those games, a bit like Farming Simulator. When a new one comes out, it always seems to go to like number 3 in the charts for 1 month, and then like no one ever buys it again that year. But like that kind of hardcore fan base is there.
Is it called Tour de France Manager?
It might be called that, yeah.
Just hazard a guess, you know.
I think it might be Manager Tour de Force.
Okay.
But yeah, it's I don't know. It's just like there are some stuff like that you're like, do you know, if these came out with how easy it is to translate stuff now on your phone, I think they would have had a bigger market for people to try these more kind of weird, obscure, text-heavy games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The one I wanted to mention was actually Grandia 2, which was actually fairly low. 16th, because when I went to Japan, I appreciate this is just like, you know, some stuff I saw in the shops, but every single secondhand game store I went to, or even just like the ones like Book Off, which sell like general all sorts of stuff, Grandia 2 was always there in abundance. It's like everyone loved I was like, why does everyone here love Grandia 2? I mean, because it's a good game, but I'm such a surprise for that reason that it's 16th place, because yeah, it was everywhere when I went to Japan.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised that Eternal Arcadia is 30 places lower than Grandia 2. You know, that's an incredible game, and a big RPG. And as we know, the Japanese love an RPG, yet it's number 46 on the list. It's odd.
This could tie into, do you know, like people are always clamoring for them to come back, and there's probably someone somewhere being like, "Well, you didn't buy the first one. Why would we give you another?" Like,
maybe that goes on what Kev just said there. Maybe Grandia 2 had the install base from the first game. I guess maybe that's why it sold more.
Has anybody spotted the glaring omission yet?
Go on.
Why isn't it on this list? The top 50 best-selling Dreamcast games in Japan.
Spirit of Speed. No, that was one of the worst selling.
No. Jet Grind Radio, man. Where is it? It's not there.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Good point. Yeah, Blue Stingrays.
Yes. I suppose that's one of the things we probably should mention for all the lists. Jet Set Radio in general is low.
Yeah.
You know, for one of those like flagship titles, I mean, that everyone says is like, you know, the Dreamcast game, other than Shenmue maybe. Yeah, it is not fared well in any of these lists. Yet it has probably a better legacy than a lot of the games on any of them, just on the music and the style of it, but just didn't sell well.
Yeah. I think that before we move on, there's something to point out as well, is that when you look at, so that we have sales figures for the US list and the Japanese list. Code Veronica sold 403,000 units in Japan. It's the biggest selling game there, and obviously Japan's smaller than the US, but that's equivalent to, on the US list, the number 10 on the list, which is World Series Baseball, which sold roughly the same. So I found that kind of interesting in terms of sales figures. There we go. I guess the other thing that we should probably compare these top 10 lists to is our very own top 10 list. Well, it's a top 200 list, but the kind of voted by the Dreamcast Junkyard community, our top 200 list that's on the website, www.thedreamcastjunkyard.co.uk. But I'm going to read the top 10 from that list and kind of let's compare it to the list that we've already heard. So from number 10, we've got Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is at number 10, followed by Phantasy Star Online at number 9. Sonic Adventure 2 is at number 8. Shenmue 2 is at number 7. Sonic Adventure 1 is at number 6. Skies of Arcadia is at number 5. Jet Set Radio at number 4. Crazy Taxi at number 3. Soul Calibur at number 2. And then Shenmue at number 1. It's a very different list. And I think every single list only have a few games in common. I know the first 3, I think, have... I think it's Soul Calibur and Sonic Adventure and Shenmue are the 3 that are on all of those lists. And they're also in our list as well, but we have very different games on our top 10.
Thing is, though, the Dreamcast Junkyard sort of top 200 games is more kind of, it's more subjective, isn't it? It's what people think are the best games as opposed to what sold the best. So, I mean, I don't know if it's slightly flawed to compare them, but I guess there is some kind of correlation to be made in, what games people bought to, quality, if there is any. Maybe I'm talking nonsense.
Well, usually are, but...
Cheers.
No, I get what you mean. If you think the UK and US lists, Phantasy Star Online, neither versions of it are they're not in the top 30 for the UK, but it's not even in the top 40 in the US. It's 46. Whereas that's one of the games that is Dreamcast, isn't it, to a lot of people that are still involved in Dreamcast today. And it always places well on any polls or any chat or any topic we do. But in terms of sales, wasn't that big a seller, was it? At least globally. So other than the Japan list, it's not really kind of moved the metrics, has it?
Yeah.
No. And it's weird as well because like my personal taste, obviously I enjoy the Dreamcast, you can probably tell. But like the games that I return to are things like Rush 2049. And that is just, that's in the wilderness. That's nowhere, is it, on any of these lists? So I guess it's all about sort of taste. There's so many like kind of hidden gems that just don't appear on any of these top 10 best-selling charts. That it's a little bit criminal, if you ask me.
It's number 100 in the US. It sold less than 70,000 copies, though.
Shocking. See, me and Bernie stole our share of love for that game, and it should be higher. Should have sold more. What can you do?
Make sure you play it on that signed Dreamcast, Andrew, then.
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
One of the things you can do is you can go on to make your own blog and podcast and then constantly moan about the lack of people who've played it.
Why didn't you play Rush2049.com?
Who's got the last laugh now, eh?
Welcome to episode 900 of Why Didn't You Play Rush 2049?
Yeah.
Oh dear, but yeah, I mean, you're right though, Tom. It's difficult to compare because sales lists versus what people actually fondly remember is very different. But yeah, it's interesting that I found it interesting that there's 3 games that kind of consistently are on all the lists. So there's 3 games that people like a lot and bought a lot. So you can tell what the big games were for the Dreamcast at the very least.
We mentioned pre-owned before, but one set of data I'd love to see, which I know won't exist neither, would be rental figures. What was the most rented games? Because there's quite a few of these that I remember not owning, but I do remember like renting. And there's so many games that you would view differently if they were only costing you a couple of quid for the weekend as opposed to £40 to commit to if you get me permanently.
Of course, yeah. I distinctly remember renting Aero Wings, thinking it would be a really good sort of flight, that dogfighting game, and then getting it and putting it on, and it was just all that acrobatic stuff, and I was just like, are you kidding me? Where's the missiles? Where's the guns? It's like, this is just the biggest bait and switch I've ever seen. Obviously, that was rectified in the sequel, but maybe I should have read the box rather than just going, oh, look, planes, get that.
It's not enough carnage. Yeah. I suppose one thing, my last comment would be, if you're contrasting it with the top 200's top 10, I guess a lot of it also depends on when they came out and where the Dreamcast was as far as fading in relevance. So
how far along its mortal coil had it gone? Had it slid?
Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I think that was a later game. That was on our top 10, but that's nowhere to be seen on some of these lists. I think it's like 20 something on the US one, 28. Phantasy Star, what's that, year 2 was it? Phantasy Star, and then going in terms of your book, aren't I, Andrew? Year 2, Sonic Adventure 2. That is on the list, but they're further back. So, again, a later release game. Shenmue 2 as well didn't even come out in the US, so that's not going to be on there. Same with Skies of Arcadia, and Jet Set Radio. That's the biggest shame because, like I say, it's got such a buzz, in the modern day. because of its aesthetic and everything. But yeah, people just didn't love it back then, I guess.
You mentioned Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I must have told you the story about Marvel vs. Capcom 2, about my lottery win.
Oh, no?
No. So, obviously, thinking of the time period, it would have been around about 2000 or 2001. I thought I'd won the lottery. I got a lottery ticket and I was looking on teletext to look at the numbers, and I had to wait for it to refresh because I couldn't believe my eyes. And I'd got 4 numbers. So I thought I'd won like £1 million or something. But it turns out I'd only won £88, which was very disappointing when I went to the cash desk at Woolworths to sort of see what my prize was. And she goes, "Oh, congratulations, you've won £88. I was like, well, it's not quite $1 million.
We just there like, I think you've got this mixed up.
I took my £88 sterling and went to Game Station in Bolton, and I bought Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Rival Schools.
Nice.
What's it called? Rival Schools? Project Justice. Yeah. With my hard-earned or not-earned winnings from the lottery. So, yeah, that's the story. There's no punchline. That's just it. It's just a really crap story.
You probably have to be a millionaire to buy those 2 games these days. But yeah.
That's true, yeah. It's come full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so moving on from that then, I think the one thing we haven't done really, and I think the most interesting list to probably quite a few of us, especially us since we're in the UK, is the UK top 30 best-selling Dreamcast games. So I figure we can have another quick conversation, and then I've got a bit of a quiz for you, so I have to get prepared for that. I mean, looking at the list, the full list, I think the thing I'm most surprised about is the fact that Tokyo Highway Challenge is on the list at all. Like, that's a shock to me. I didn't realise it was as popular as that to be in the top 30.
A launch title, I suppose.
Yeah, true. It looked like light years ahead of what was on the other systems at the time. So I'm guessing the amazing shiny visuals had something to do with that. Yeah, more it's visuals over sort of content for me anyway.
Mm-hmm. Whilst I quite like that now, it's one of those games that I don't think I ever even saw or heard of at the time. And that was in the era where the idea of going on the internet to order a game from somewhere other than your local area was like not even something you'd considered. So I'm surprised that was there as well, just because it was such a blind spot for me personally.
For me, one of the surprises to see on this list is Revolt. Just because I would have thought it would have had quite limited appeal. Especially because it wasn't that popular on like the N64. So the fact that it's on the Dreamcast top 30 list is quite surprising. Yeah, quite a few really low quality Acclaim games are actually on this list though. You've got things like WWF Attitude, Trick Style, which does have its fans, but let's be honest, runs like garbage. Although that said, Dead or Alive 2's on the list, so maybe that's a bit of a redemption there for Acclaim, even though they didn't obviously develop it, they only published it.
I wonder how many people from America influenced the 25 placement of Shenmue 2 from imports alone.
Yeah, that's a good point, because it wasn't released. Oh, was it? Yeah, it was released in PAL, wasn't it? Yeah. It wasn't released in the US, was it, on Dreamcast? Yeah. So that's a good point, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's that. I mean, I think it's worth people looking through these lists themselves as well. I'm sure we'll have links in the show notes, and let us know your thoughts as well. I think we'd really like to hear what you think of this. Let us know in the Discord. We'll give you all the details of how to join us there. But yeah, love to hear what you think about these lists and anything that surprised you. But any final thoughts on these lists before we move on to the quiz that I've prepared for you all?
If you are in the US and you know what DC budget assortment is, let us know, because I've fallen down a wormhole of trying to find it, and I can find nothing about it other than a product code, which is 1345. And then I found 2 different posts where people list it and then say no idea what this is. So one of them's on GamesFAQs. There's nothing on eBay. There's nothing on Twitter about it yet. So
there is another one actually in this list which I spotted a minute ago, which is another assortment or bundle or something. Sports Bundle is at number 237 on the US bestsellers list. So whether or not that's a console variant that came with an assortment of sports games, I don't know, but it could be. So yeah, let us know what sports bundle is as well if you know.
Yeah, I suppose in conclusion, it shows that sales don't always equate to quality.
It's true.
As most modern Ubisoft titles demonstrate. But yeah, anyway.
Sick burn. Sick burn.
Sick burn. All right, so moving on, we have a little bit of a quiz around the top 30. So it's mostly, I think, nearly exclusively around the UK top 30. So all three of you need to close the show notes because otherwise you'll be able to answer the questions really easily. So please do close it. I can see if you've closed it because I can see who's in and who's not. So please do. Good. So yes, everybody's closed the show notes. We're on an app so I can see who is buzzing in quickest with the answer. The person with the most correct answers by the end of the quiz wins. If we have a tie, then I do have a tiebreaker. Fingers are on buzzers and all mice on buzzers, as it were, maybe.
Yes.
Yep. This is why I've got a gaming mouse. Just for this.
Okay, let's go. Question 1 of the quiz. They're all going to be statements, and I just want you to give the name of the game. That's the answer. It will be a name of a game from the top 30. Question 1. This game is based on a British TV show originally hosted by Chris Tarrant. That was Tom, I believe, buzzed the quickest. Tom?
He Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Correct.
Whee!
1 point to Tom. Wahey. Next question. Question 2. This game was part of a remaster collection released in December 2024. Tom again.
Ooh. Dead or Alive? Dead or Alive 2?
Incorrect. Right, okay, fingers on buzzers again. Who knows the correct answer to this question? Anybody? Lewis.
Is it Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver?
Correct. That is the right answer. There we go. Next question. Question 3. This game is the only Japanese game on the list that the recently revived publisher Acclaim published. Tom.
Dead or Alive 2?
Correct.
I didn't even remember they published Dead or Alive.
They did, yeah. I think Tom mentioned it, which is probably why you had the upper hand there.
Yeah. Shh, don't tell everyone.
Okay. Question 4. This game features a character called Mark Henry. Tom.
Is that WWF Attitude?
It is. Correct. Nice. I saw Kev went in there as well, but he was a little bit too late on the
I just wanted a chance to say sexual chocolate on the podcast.
See, Kev's cheating because he's got a gaming mouse and I'm still beating him.
That's true, yeah. All right, question number 5. This is the only game on the list with a dash in its title. Lewis.
Is it Revolt?
Bastard.
It's correct. That is correct. It is Revolt.
Bastard.
I'm like, did I even look at this list now? I'm doing terrible.
That's what you get for having a gaming mouse, you cheat.
Yeah. DPI's too fast. I keep missing the buzzer.
All right, next question. This game will be part of the upcoming Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Tom.
Power Stone?
Correct. It is correct. It is Power Stone. Okay. Question number 7. Come on, Kev. I know you can do it. Just one of them. At least just one. Just one. This game features a boss called BioLizard. Tom.
House of the Dead 2?
Incorrect. Anybody else want to take a guess? Kev.
I'm just going with Code Veronica.
Incorrect. Lewis, do you know this one?
I don't.
Bio-Lizard.
It's not like Dynamite Cop or something, is it? I don't remember a lizard in that. I think it was an octopus.
It is not. I'll give you the answer. It's Sonic Adventure 2.
I was going to go UEFA Striker next. So I'm glad you didn't.
Question number 8. This game is number 30 on the list. Tom.
Oh, it was Tokyo Highway Challenge, wasn't it?
Correct. That is correct. And I think somebody has won already, but question number 9. This game lets you drive a BMW R75.
Tom. Oh, Kev got it.
Kev.
Okay.
Metropolis Street Racer.
Incorrect.
Oh, no.
Anybody else?
Is it
Tom?
Tokyo Highway Challenge?
Incorrect. Lewis, do you know this one?
What was it? A BMW?
BMW R75.
Gosh, I'm not a racer. I'm not a racing game guy.
The only Sega
necessarily a
GT,
racing
but
game.
I don't think that was on there, was it? Oh,
No. Not necessarily a racing game.
is it Headhunter?
Oh, who is that?
No. It's
No.
Never played it. I'm sure I've seen a car in all those articles we put up about it.
You are closer. Weirdly, you are closer with Headhunter than anything else.
Is it like one of the GTA games? GTA 2? I don't know.
No.
They don't have real brands.
They're made up, aren't they?
Yeah, they're made up. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go on, Andy.
Okay, it was Hidden and Dangerous.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
a motorcycle called the BMW R75. So that's why you're closer with.
You should have known that, Tom.
There you go.
You're the motorcycle guy.
Oh, you know,
It must have been on the 3rd level though, so no one's seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. That was 9 questions. Tom was the definitive winner there.
How many
Well
did I
done,
get?
Tom. Yay.
How many?
You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 9. 5 out of 9. I have a tiebreaker, and I thought this might be a fun one just for us to end on. So I'm going to ask each of you, so give you a guess. But I want you to name the overall, i.e. worldwide, 3 best-selling Dreamcast games in order from 1 to 3. So I guess, Lewis, I'll start with you. What's the 3 best-selling games overall worldwide?
Sonic Adventure, I know for sure is the top.
Number 1, okay.
What was... maybe I'll go with those ones that seem to kind of be on all the lists. I think it was Soul Calibur as well, wasn't it? That made all 3 lists, I think. And then Shenmue as well, possibly. So those 3. So Sonic Adventure, Soul Calibur, and Shenmue. That's my guess.
Okay, in that order. Sonic Adventure first, Shenmue last.
Yes.
Okay, Kev, what about you? What would your guess be?
I'm going to go Sonic Adventure 1. I'm going to put Phantasy Star second though, due to its sales in Japan combined with the other ones, and then I think I'm going to go 2K. Whichever one was top of the US.
NFL, was it?
Right.
NFL, yeah.
Yes, I believe so, yeah. Okay, interesting. Tom, what about you then?
Top ECW Anarchy Rules.
Yeah.
I'm going to be boring. I'm going to go top would be Sonic Adventure. Second, I'm going to go Shenmue. And then 3, I'm going to go Sega Rally 2.
Okay. Well, I'll let you know, one of you's got it right. Completely right. And that person is Lewis.
Way! Well
It
done.
is indeed Sonic Adventure, Soul Calibur, Shenmue in that order.
Wow.
So there you go. The top. It's interesting, actually. There's on the list, which is from Wikipedia, there's only 7 games on there that made that sold over 1 million copies worldwide. So you've got Sonic Adventure, Soul Calibur, Shenmue, Resident Evil Code Veronica, NFL 2K, Crazy Taxi, and NFL 2K1, all sold over 1 million. Everything else sold under worldwide.
Is that the top 5 then that you just read out? Yeah.
7. There were 7 that were sold over 1 million.
Okay, because it's crazy that like the NFL games just make the full-on worldwide list in general, isn't it? Like,
yeah, just because they sold so many in the US.
Yeah, it's a big market, but like those sports are. I mean, isn't like NFL like the biggest sport in America, and then to us it's just so like what?
Yeah,
it's mad. There you go. Well done, Tom, for winning the quiz. You don't win anything. Apart from, bragging rights, I guess.
Respect, adulation.
I will post you my gaming mouse out of like a championship belt.
No, you can keep it with that performance.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of the episode. So thank you very much, everybody, for having a chat with us, for talking about the best-selling games on the Dreamcast. As usual, I'm going to go through and ask you where people can find you online, or if they can at all. Kev, where can people find you?
I've not been around much lately because I'm too busy being the world's premier manager, streamer, and video maker. So I am at Big Mean Bunny UK on YouTube. That is it. That is my entire online presence.
Excellent. Okay, people go check that out. Tom, where can people?
You can't find me. I mean, if you you can just type my name into Google if you want. Read my articles on the dreamcastjunkyard.co.uk. Yeah. Oh, I do have a YouTube channel, but I don't really update it very often. It's just my name, Tom Charnock. If you want to see really badly produced videos about random nonsense like OSSCs and old motorbikes. Yeah. None of which are featured in Hidden and Dangerous, sadly, otherwise I would have got that point as well. But that's me.
Lovely. Lewis, where can people find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky and, sadly, X, as it's now called. It's Lewis JFC. And again, like Tom said, read my articles as well on the Junkyard blog. And that's me, yeah.
Lovely. I'm very rarely on X these days, more so on Blue Sky, Oddment84 on both. Also, occasionally I try and stream on Twitch. I'm Oddment84 on there as well. I haven't done it for a while, but I do want to go back and do some more streams, so feel free to follow me there if you want to watch me stream some games. So yeah, that's where you can find everybody, and you can find us, the Dreamcast Junkyard, at the dreamcastjunkyard.co.uk. I believe we're on X. I think we're on Blue Sky as well. What's the @ Is it the same one for both?
So on Twitter it's the DC Junkyard, and on Blue Sky it is the dreamcastjunkyard.co.uk, because you can use the domain name as a handle, which is cool. Yeah, lovely. I bothered Tom to get that set up. Sorry, Tom.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And of course, we're also on things like Patreon now. I believe we've got a Patreon.
Yes. So yeah, if you want to throw a couple of quid our way to help with hosting costs, you can. We are actually at our goal, so you probably don't need to donate anything else. So, but yeah, you could go there if you like. You can be a free member on Patreon. Do that.
Lovely. Yeah. We have a new patron as well, don't we? It's Douglas Wright has joined. So welcome, Douglas. Thank you very much for being Thank you so much. And where is that? Just patreon.com /the Dreamcast Junkyard, or is it something different?
I don't actually know.
Brilliant.
Yeah. just search for us on Patreon. You'll find it.
Yeah.
It's on the website link.
You listen to these all these other podcasts, and they're like, yeah, the Patreon's this, and like handle is this, and then here we're just like, yeah, no, you can't find me online. I'm a miserable bastard. Don't follow me.
Is anyone left on the hellscape that is social media?
Yeah.
Right. If you would like to find me, I'm often on Sheffield High Street on Tuesday between the HMV and the WH Smiths between 1 and 1:15 when I'm on my lunch break. If you see me at 1:16, though, you need to tell me to get back to me work because we have to sign in and out. So anyone who wants to speak to me about Dreamcast, just shout out.
Yeah, and you'll also be wearing Dean Gaffney's old football shirt as well. For added effect.
Always. Every Tuesday now, going forward. Right.
Oh, God, what have we become? Yes, please do go and find us on Patreon. Join us there. Help us with our running costs, although we are our goal. Yes, so thank you so much for joining us today and listening to us chat away about the best-selling Dreamcast games. Go and play some Dreamcast games and talk to us about them on Discord. We're also on Discord, so find us there. You can find the link to that on the website as well. Thanks so much for listening. Tune into the next episode as well and go and read all of our wonderful articles on the blog. And until next time, keep dreaming. Bye.
This is a Dreamcast disc. 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 And is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers. Please stop this disc now.
Hello, and to catastrophe connoisseurs everywhere, a warm and seasonal welcome to another It'll Be All Right on the Night. Television's last line of defense against runaway infallibility.
I thought I had done something wrong, so I played Hidden and Dangerous and completely bricked myself, shat myself because I thought I'd.
Oh no! Oh, disconnect. Yeah, you disconnected again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think it's the mic that I'm using. I think the iPhone keeps disconnecting, which is annoying.
This is like a cursed episode, isn't it? I shouldn't have made that Fred Durst joke. I feel like
Is that better?
Hello?
Is that better?
No. I don't think it's worse.
Yeah.
How long have we been doing this for?
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, it's better.
Are you there, Lewis? Nope. Still here.
It's crackling again.
Ooh. He's just been taken out by a UEFA sniper for calling them UEFA.
Has it come back?
No.
Yeah, you're back now, but we can't hear the noise.
Good.
Is Andrew still here? Oh no. Andrew? Cursed, I tell you, cursed.
Okay, I think I'm on my AirPods audio now. Is that okay?
No, it's terrible.
It's the ghost of Dennis Norden. We weren't laughing at you. You're fondly remembered.
28 is Jet Set Radio. 27 is Revolt. 26 is Fighting Force 2. 25 is...
For fuck's sake.
I like to imagine him still speaking on, though.
And if you cut back in, it'll be at number 7.
Number 7.
Number 7 is House of the Dead 2.
Oh, no.
Joking. I heard you. if you want to help me get a new microphone so this doesn't happen again, feel free. That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Well, there you go.
Can't be kidding me. He's done that on purpose.
Oh my god. We've got to keep that in, Lewis. Just end it now. Outro music. Play outro music.
Yeah. Go on, Andrew. You've only got a few more words to say.
I wish I'd done that on purpose. I know. All right. Okay.